sexuality is the way people experience and express themselves sexually. So ang sexuality is kanang it is a part of who you are, kana express nimo kung unsa ka, lalaki ba ka or babae. This is involve physical, emotional, social, or spiritual feelings and behaviors. So it take time to figure out the sexuality that fits you best, and your sexuality can change over time. So mo taking siya kanang time. For example, now I have friend nga niya na best friend ako, dungan mig patuli, malito ka siya din pag adto niya Manila, pagbalik niya kuha na kanang nausab siya, like nabayot siya. So mausab ro na siya, depende nimo kung gusto na nimo, gusto dyan na nimo din na sipyat. So coming to terms with your sexuality can be very liberating, exciting experience. So some people have hard time to accepting others who are different to themselves. So na may lahing tao nga nalisod magpagawas kung unsa sila, like for example ako mabayot ko, maglisod ko ingos ang papa, dapat imong pagawas kung kinsa ka, ikaw man na. So if someone gives you a hard time to about sexuality, it's good to talk to someone about it. So dapat dili ka imong inusarahon, dapat mo istorya ka kung unsa ka, kay kung example nga magpakatotoo ba. So you don't need to deal with it yourself. And sexuality is very important for who you are. There is no right or wrong. It's about what is right for you. That's all.
Okay, wait. Is the camera? Okay, so good afternoon, sir. I'm John Gabriel Marcel, and I'm from Group 5 in our psychology, SMT1, and my role is to discuss about gender. Now, gender, the definition of gender is it is used to describe the characteristics of women and men that are socially constructed, while sex refers to those that are biologically determined. People are born female or male, but learn to be girls and boys who grow into women and men. So, meaning, what is gender in simple words? Gender commonly refers to the socially constructed roles, behaviors, expressions, and identities of girls, women, boys, men, and gender diverse people. Like, let's say, an example of gender diverse people are some members of the LGBT, like lesbians or gays, on which the males, for gays, the males are a bit more, let's say, they express feminine expression, while lesbians express a kind of we could say a much more male impression. Then they're assigned roles. Then they're assigned biological sex. So that's gender diverse people. So if it influences how people perceive themselves and each other, how they act and interact, and the distribution of power and resources in society. Gender analysis. Well, gender analysis identifies and informs action to address inequalities that arise from the different roles of women and men, or the unequal power relations between them, and the consequences of these inequalities on their lives, their health, and well-being. The way power is distributed in most societies means that women have less access to control over resources to protect their health, and are less likely to take part in decision making. Gender analysis in health often highlights how inequalities disadvantage women's health, the constraints of women face to attain health, and ways to address and overcome these. It also reveals health risks and problems which men face as a result of the social construction of their roles. So meaning, basically, gender analysis basically talks about how we can say how far back that men are really in a better advantage than women when it comes to decision making skills, decision making for the family. That's kind of a gender analysis. Like we could say, it was just new elected this 19th to 20th century that it's basically elected that promoted that this 16th to 15th century that women would be able to vote. Because say that that's kind of an example of gender analysis. Now, gender equality is the absence of discrimination on the basis of a person's sex in opportunities, the allocation of resources and benefits, or access to services. So meaning gender equality is basically the absence of the discrimination, meaning it's basically looking each gender equally. Like how I perceive women as equal to myself in terms of, because say in terms of knowledge, skills, or basic or we could say basic educative opportunities. I could say that they are just unequal towards me. That's kind of gender equality. No discrimination, or we could say no discrimination or any kind of way that I could say that I am better than her, or the male gender is better than the female gender, or the other way around. Now, gender equity refers to the fairness and justice in the distribution of benefits and responsibilities between women and men. The concept recognizes that women and men have different needs and power, and that these differences should be identified and addressed in a manner that rectifies the imbalance between the sexes. Gender equity basically says that, of course, women, the male gender are both, because say different genders. Yeah. And in gender equity, it expresses, gender equity is a word that kind of expresses, is the word that expresses on the way the male and female gender is both separated, like through different needs. Like as boys, because say that the male gender is basically more into sports. Yeah, it's true. Basically, for me, I would just say that for me, the male gender, because say that uh, in the male gender, yeah, a good example is I'm into sports. I'm into basketball. I'm into cycling. I can say that in my Facebook. Yeah, and that's the needs in boys. That's the needs for us males. We're more into sports. We're more into like any kind of habits that constitutes the way we show our power, aggression, and skills. While the female gender is quite the opposite. I can say that the females are more into shopping, are more into cooking than us men. Yeah, there are. I'm not basically discriminating these genders, the two genders of male and female, but I could say that the cooking, we usually leave the cooking to women, the female gender, while us men are the one who are the breadwinners in the family, or are usually the ones who will who will find the money to put food in the table. We are mostly in the efforts of hard work, while women are mostly to say that their gender equity is mostly based on household chores. Yes, in this 20th century generation, to say that it's basically balanced. But that's just how I explain gender equity. Yeah, like women are better in cooking. I could just say that. Mostly, not all of them. Mostly, men are better at cooking than us. They are usually the ones who take care of the family. That's basic gender equity. And I guess that's all for my explanation for gender. Again, I'm John Gilbert Marcel from Group 5. Thank you for listening.
Who you are kana express nimo kung unsa ka, lalaki ba ka or babae. This is involve physical, emotional, social, or spiritual feelings and behaviors. So it take time to figure out the sexuality that fits you best. And your sexuality can change over time. So mo taking siya kanang time. For example, I have friend nga niadto siya na best friend ako dungan mig patuli, malito ka siya din. Pag adto niya Manila, pagbalik niya kuha na kanang nausab siya like nabayot siya. So mausab ro na siya. Depende nimo kung gusto na nimo, gusto dyan nimo din wala di na sipyat. So coming to terms with your sexuality can be very liberating, exciting, upsetting experience. So some people have hard time to accepting others who are different to themselves. So na may laing tao nga nalisod magpagawas kung unsa sila. Like for example, ako mabayot ko maglisod ko ingong song papa, dapat imong pagawas kung kinsa ka, ikaw man na. So if someone gives you a hard time to about your sexuality, it's good to talk to someone about it. So dapat dili ka imong inusirahon, dapat mo istorya ka kung unsa ka, kay kung example nga magpakatotoo ba. So you don't need to deal with it yourself. And sexuality is very important for who you are. There is no right or wrong. It's about what is right for you. That's all.
So today I'm going to report about different types of sexuality. So asexuality is a lack of sexual attraction to others or a low interest in sexual activity. Some people consider sexuality to be their sexual orientation, and others describe it as an absence of sexual orientation. So this means that someone who does not experience sexual attraction toward individual of any gender is a sexual orientation, and it is different from celibacy in that refrain from engaging in sexual behavior and does not comment to one's sexual attraction. May choose to engage in sexual behavior or for various reasons even while not experiencing a sexual attraction. So bisexual, romantic attraction, sexual attraction, or sexual behavior toward both males and females or two or more than one gender. It may also be defined to include romantic or sexual attraction to people regardless of their sex or gender identity, which is also known as pansexuality. So bisexuality is an attraction to more than one gender. Those who identify as bisexual feel asexual and or a romantic attraction to people of a different gender as well their own. Bisexual are a diverse group. Each individual perceives their sexual orientation differently. Some may equal attracted to both men and women, while others have strong attraction toward one gender over another. A bisexual is a person may be in long-term, same-sex or heterosexual relationship, or may alternate between the two. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Curtis Incomnada and I'm from Group 5 and we're representing gender and sexuality in online. So, what is heterosexuality? Heterosexual people are sexually or romantically attracted to the people of the opposite sex. Heterosexual men are sexually or romantically attracted to women, and heterosexual women are sexually or romantically attracted to men. The prefix of hetero comes from the Greek word heteros, which means the other of two, another, different, second, or than usual. Other names of heterosexual and related terms. People are often use the term straight in the place of the word heterosexual. You might also hear these related terms. Heteronormative, this is a word view that promotes heterosexuality as the norm of or preferred orientation over theirs. Then, what is the difference between heterosexual, homosexual, and other sexuality? Well, heterosexuality is the most common sexual identity. It's just the one of the many possible sexual orientation. In addition to heterosexuality, which describes people who are sexually or romantically attracted to the opposite sex, you may hear these terms. Homosexual, same attraction. Bisexual, attraction to more than one sex. Asexual, no sexual attraction to any sex. Aromantic, no romantic attraction to any sex. Homosexual, attraction to the people of various genders. Heteroflexible, primary attraction to people of the opposite sex and occasionally attraction to the people of the same sex. And the last is the homoflexible, primary attraction to the people of the same sex and occasionally attraction to people of the opposite sex. There are just a few many terms to use to describe various sexual identities, despite the large number of individuals that identify as heterosexual. It's important to respect any individual's sexual orientation and the label they choose. For example, some people may mainly identify as heterosexual, but their sexual identity may change over time. Others may identify as heterosexual as it relates to sexual attraction, but they may also form romantic or emotional relationships with members of the same sex. Myths and misconception about heterosexual label. Although heterosexuality is fair commonly, there are some myths and misconceptions about the sexual orientation. Transgender individuals aren't heterosexual. Many people don't realize that people who identify as transgender can be heterosexual. The term transgender refers to a person's gender identity, not their sexuality or orientation. In fact, transgender people can be hetero, homos, pan, queer, asexual, or any other asexual orientation, just like cisgender people, to those whose gender identity corresponds with their birth sex. Heterosexuality isn't fluid. Heterosexual people comes from some they sometimes identify with the other sexualities over the course of their lifetimes. This is a common experience. Many research believe sexuality is a spectrum and that orientation can change over time. Heterosexuality is normal, while heterosexuality or straightness is the common sexual orientation to people who identify with other sexualities are just less normal. In fact, the stigma that only straight people are normal is harmful. It's natural and normal to identify or whatever sexual orientation you choose. Heterosexuality is the only sexual orientation. Some people hold a religious belief that heterosexuality is a common, acceptable, and sexual orientation. Sometimes this belief leads to remedies like conversion therapy, where individuals of different sexual orientations receive counseling geared toward fixing homosexuality, bisexuality, and other orientations. This practice is considered extremely harmful to the participants' mental health, has been outlawed in many places around the US. And the last is homosexuality. Homosexuality and the last is homosexuality. What is homosexuality? Homosexuality refers to attraction between who are the same sex. It comes from the Greek word homos, meaning the same. It's a sexual orientation as opposed to a gender identity such as male, female, and non-binary. People who are sexual could refer themselves as gay, lesbian, Lgbtq, queer, or a number of other terms. There is no way to experience same-sex attraction. Many people who are gay develop feelings for people of the same sex in the teenage years. However, it can take some time to find what you are most attracted to or to be comfortable in acknowledging it to yourself and others. People experience sexual, romantic, and other emotional feelings toward another person in different ways at different points in their lives. Other names of homosexuality: These are many synonyms for homosexuality, as the term itself is outdated. The most common synonym is gay or a lesbian, bakla or tomboy. Gay usually means a big man being attracted to another man, while lesbian means attracted to other woman. Queer or queer is a broad term that refers to someone who is not heterosexual, attracted to the opposite sex or cisgender, having a gender identity that corresponds with their assigned birth gender. LGBTQ is an acronym that stands for gay, lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, or questioning. It usually defines a community of individuals rather than a specific person. Myths and misconceptions about homosexuality. Unfortunately, there is a lot of homophobia in the United States and around the world. In many countries, it's legal to be a gay. People who are anti-gay have spread several harmful myths demonizing homosexuality. First, myth 1. And LGBTQ members make bad parents. Many people who are gay, loving families and raise happy, successful gender children. In fact, a study done in 2014 stated that there were a few differences in family structure or social development between same-sex parent households and opposite-sex parent households. Me too. Being a gay is a choice and can be fixed. Being a gay is not a choice or something that can be changed. Most scientists agree that sexuality is the result of several factors including biology and environment. Conversion therapy or efforts to make someone change their sexuality is a potential harmful and has been rejected by mainstream American medical organizations. The American Medical Association is against the therapy that is based on the assumption of sexuality is a mental disorder or that a person should change their orientation. It's important to know that there is something wrong with loving people of the same gender as you. You might want to let your loved ones know if you feel same-sex attractions, or you might not be ready to share this yet. It's entirely up to you, but no one can invalidate your identity. Helping your loved ones understand homosexuality. Coming out or telling people in your life about your sexual identity is a different experience for everyone. It is not easy. It's not always easy, and you don't have to come out if you're not ready. It might be extended process that happens over months of years rather than one conversation. Whatever you decide to do is valid. Take time to think about your intentions before you decide to come out your loved ones. Coming out might help build understanding your relationships. It might help you build a new ones. Remember that there's no requirement that you need to become out. In fact, you need to come out to yourself and foster acceptance for yourself before you share who you are with other people. It's also vital to build support system around you. You might find this by building relationships with the other members of LGBTQ community, even joining a club or a support group. You might even find role models in media and popular culture. Remember that your identity is your own. It is defined by you and no one else. That's all. Thank you.